Welcome back to the channel, and in this video I have something a little bit simple for us, but we're not going to really concentrate on the modeling because this will be a super simple model, but it's going to be mainly on the drafting part. So we're going to take a look at how to create a drawing of this simple part using Solidworks. So what you're going to find out here in Solidworks is that we have to actually create two different files. So far we're going to create the part using the part file, and we'll create the drawing of it using the drawing file. Now you can also create an assembly, which we'll discover in some other videos here in Solidworks, but what we're going to do is mainly concentrate just on making a simple part and making a drawing of it. Okay, so I'm just going to start off by selecting parts here. Go ahead and hit the open button, or OK button in this case. And then we're going to give Solidworks a little bit of time to load up. Okay, and it looks like Solidworks is just about ready for us. Okay, now our units are going to be millimeters. So I can look down here at the bottom and we are in millimeters. And we're going to first start off by creating an extrusion, right? So I'll go ahead and select this extrusion here. And that should automatically open me up to the sketch window, right? So I'll select this plane here, and I'm going to be using the top one. I'll go ahead and start off this one by creating a center rectangle. And I'm selecting here just to make sure that it is the type that I want. So I want this thing going horizontal and vertical. So I'll start off by selecting that point, and then I'll create my other point going this direction. All right, let's go ahead and put some dimensions onto this. So I'll go a dimension on this top line here. And then this dimension should be set to 90. And likewise, when I get to the vertical dimension, whatever the radius is, I will wind up doubling that. So let's go ahead and put a dimension on here. And like I was saying before, I'm just going to double that radius, which is going to be 50 in this case. All right. Now I have this part created. Let's go ahead and add a few more things to this. Let's see, I'm trying to debate, do I want to use a circle or an arc? Let's use a circle. And we're going to place it right there at the midpoint here, and then we'll place the other point on that. We'll do the exact same thing on this side. So start off here at the midpoint, and then I'll just go ahead and select that endpoint. Okay, let's do some trimming. So I'll just trim off these portions here. Likewise here on the other side. Go ahead and select this line. Remember, hold down the shift button and select the other one. Once I let it go, I'll just go ahead and make these lines construction geometry. Next, I'm going to go ahead and put another circle here. So let's go into the circle command. Place it right here on this circle. Do the exact same thing here on the other side. Then we're going to go ahead and put a dimension on it. So let's go ahead and put a dimension from here. And this has a diameter of 25. And then we're going to set both of these equal to each other. So I'll go ahead and select this one, hold down the shift button, and select the other one. And then over here in my manager, I'll just go ahead and tell it equal. Okay, so now we got everything that we wanted is fully defined. I'm just going to kind of pull this a little bit and see. Okay, looks like everything is defined the way we want it. Let's go ahead and exit out of the sketch. And then let's start seeing what the extrusion command is going to give us. All right. So that's exactly what we want to see. We have our part. We have two holes in it. Let's go ahead and make this mid-plane. And then I'll make the thickness of it, which it is set to 10. So I'll go ahead and leave it at 10. And go ahead and hit the check button here. Okay. All right. Now I want to kind of revolve this. And this is where I would like to see Solidworks kind of improve on one thing. And the thing that I want it to do, or that I would love for it to do, is allow me to be able to select that axis that's running through here. So you're going to see that I want to revolve this, or not revolve it, I'm sorry. I want to use a circular pattern. So I'm going to try a circular pattern, right? And now it's asking me, hey, give me the features. So it's nice and simple here. We only have one feature. And then I need to give it a kind of a axis to spin around. Well, in this case, I don't really have that, right? I can try to pick the origin here. And you see that it's giving me this face more than what I want to do. So it's always best if you do have an axis. And I'll be honest with you, this is where Inventor does a lot better job than this program, just in my opinion. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to simply come back to this sketch. Let's go ahead and edit it. I'll create a midpoint line. Let's start it off right from that endpoint, and then I'll just come straight up to that point. Okay, let's go ahead and select that line we just created, and then we're going to make it construction. Let's go ahead and exit out of this sketch. And then we're back to where we started with, right? Now I want to highlight that, so I'm just going to do a right click on this and then tell it to show that. Now let's go ahead and use the circular pattern like we was doing before. The one feature that we need to select is going to be here. And then the axis that I need to spin this around is going to be that line that I just created, which is here. And now you can see that it did create what I want. Now, the spacing of this, it says 4 of them at 360. Do I really need 4 of them? So I have 2 of them set here at I meant to put 180 degrees here. I think it's only 1. Okay, 2 at 90 degrees. All right, so we have these basically spaced out. We have 1, and it should join this to the other one, right? And I know I'm using a kind of another software term, but it's going to join it together. Let's go ahead and hit the check button here. And let's go ahead and give it a second. Oh, looks like it's, what am I missing is what I'm trying to figure out here. I think it has everything that it needs. It says please select a permit. Let's see. And let's go ahead and expand this, and just to see, I don't think I've forgotten anything. Let's give it one more try. So I do have the extrusion here. I do have that line. And before it was giving me an error, and all of a sudden, I guess it figured it out. Okay, let's go ahead and hide that sketch. And the modeling for this one is actually done, right? So we can take a look at this, and let's go ahead and make it an isometric. Now, if you're doing anything that's in production, what you typically want to do here is you want to save this file, and you want to save it as whatever part number that it's going to be, or the drawing number, or something along that line. So that's going to be one of the things that you would like to do. But for our case, we're just going to go ahead and give it a name of example 1. And then let's go ahead and place it somewhere. And in my case, let's see, I want to put this, let's see, somewhere on my desktop here is where I usually like to place it. And then I'll place it in my Solidworks folder that I have created. Okay, so, but you can place yours wherever you want to place it at. And this is where I'm going to wind up placing the one here. So I'll go ahead and save it. Now, I just saved mine as example 1. Remember, it's always common practice to save it as kind of what you want it to be, as far as the, part number or drawing number or stuff of that nature. All right, while I have this part here, there are some other things that we need to do to start setting this up. So I'm thinking big picture things here, like setting it up in a BOM or something along that line. We have to go and start looking at the file properties and trying to figure out if we need to add some of the things in here. For example, I can choose some of these customized things. So I can say, hey, part number. And I can give it a part number here of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? And then we can give it a name or whatever the description of this is going to be. And let's see if description happens to be one of these. And if it's not, don't worry about it. We can always add or put what we need to do here. I don't think I've seen description. And let me know if I pass it up or not. Oh, it's the first one. That's why I didn't see it. And then I can give it a description. So I can say, hey, this is called example 1. All right. And I always like to give another prompt here. And I call it just units. And then I'll go ahead and set this equal to each. So if you had this like at feet or something along that line, you can do that as well. Okay, so these are some of the just basic customization properties that you can use. I'll go ahead and hit the OK button. Then I'll make sure I save this. Now, this come into play when we do a parts list. We're not going to really do a extended or anything crazy as far as the parts list goes, but we're going to just basically keeping it as simple as we possibly can. All right, so the next step that I'm going to do is I'm just going to come here. I'll go to the new. And I want to create a drawing. And when I hit the OK button, what SolidWorks prompts you to do is go ahead and pick a starting template. And you're thinking about this as the size of the title block that you want to put it on. So I'm just going to use a B size here. And it's in landscape. That's going to be totally fine for us, what we needed to do. Then I'll go ahead and hit the OK button. Give it a little bit of time, and then it should start cooking and coming up with some stuff and saying, hey, do you want to bring in some views? And it's remembering the open drawing that we do have here. But for right now, I'm just going to go ahead and ignore this and hit the check. And right now, we do have a drawing selected, right? So we have our drawing that is kind of first started here. Let's go ahead and close that. Now I want to put in a view. So I can go up here to model view. And it's going to bring me back to the exact same thing that I just closed a second ago. So you can see that by default, I have my settings set up to where when I bring in a new drawing that it says, hey, you want to bring in a new view? And all I have to do is, kind of double click on here. And it's saying, okay, I got that view for you. And then I get to select what views I want. So here I have an isometric selected. I can bring in a front view or the top view. So which one do I want to start with? And I'm just going to start with this front view here. I'll go ahead and select and place it into my screen. And then you're going to see that it will model that up for me. Okay. I'll go ahead and hit the check mark on this one. And once again, I'm going to keep this as simple as possible. I'll go ahead and project a view off of here. Go ahead and select this one. Come on. Waiting on it to kind of select it for me. And I do apologize. My machine is running extra slow here. I'll go ahead and click here, this view. And now you can see that it did project that view off. And I'm also going to go ahead and put me an isometric. Let's go ahead and place it here. And then I'll hit the check mark. Okay. And I'm trying my best to keep this as simple as possible. Not to kind of drag out anything that's, super big or something along that line. Okay. I can also adjust the size of this. And once again, all I'm doing is just double clicking on the view here. And then the size of it is going to be located down here at the bottom, right? So at this point, I can use whatever the scale of the sheet is, right? So we do have that option. And I'll show you where we can adjust that at. And it should be listed underneath. If I do a right click on sheets here and come to the properties, the size or the scale of the sheet is going to be located here. So I can adjust this down. Let's go ahead and make it something like, let's see how big or small this is going to be. So 3/4 equals 1. And you can see that that did adjust all of these. Basically, I made my sheet size a little smaller, and you can see here that it is reflected here at the bottom. Okay. Let's go ahead and do that one more time. I wanted to do a right click on this sheet here. Let's go back to the properties. And that scale just looks a little weird to me. Let's go ahead and make it like, I think it's 3:4 is the equivalent to it. Okay. So just kind of depending on how you want this to look. Okay. So far, this is nice and easy. Wonder if I wanted to make a detail of this view. Okay, and you can see here at the top, we're going to go ahead and look at the detail view. You can see over here, how do I want to define it? Let's go ahead and select this view here. And then I'm just going to, oh, look like I actually clicked there. Let me do that one more time. Let's go back to the detail view. I'm going to click here. And then I'm just going to kind of create my circle showing the boundary of whatever I want to select here, right? So now it's going to calculate and do this. And you can see now that it's giving me a view here that's following it. You have a couple other things that you want to, or that you can have here if you want a leader to it, or if you want this to be a broken circle. And what this is applying to is this style in front. So that A that's sitting in the front, I can have it with a leader, and I can go ahead and kind of adjust that leader if that's what I want to do. We can go with no leader, and we do have an option to go and connect it. Now the connected one is neat, and you can see that that's a line that's kind of going between both of them. So anytime you typically have a connected one, you don't have to place a view or a name underneath it. And that's what we're going to do in this case, right? So I'm just going to leave it connected here. We can decide if we want the outline to be jagged. And if I click on jagged, you're going to see wherever it's crossing here is going to be kind of like a little cutting out part. And then you can increase basically the jaggedness, if that's a such word, is a jaggedness of it. All right. In this case, I'm just going to go ahead and leave it no jagged. Just keep it nice and smooth. As we keep coming down, you can see that I can adjust the scale a little bit. So if I want this, if this is too big for you, and you can see that it's running way down to here. Let's see what I'm going to play with different sizes here. So I can go with a 1:1, which looks, you know, perfectly fine for what we needed to show here. It is a true view and things of that nature. So all of that stuff is kind of the way I want it. Let's go ahead and hit the check here. And you can see that it did create his. Let's go ahead and move this description right up underneath it. Okay. Another thing that we're going to get into is we're just going to put some simple dimensions on here, right? Let's zoom into here. Let's go with smart dimensions. Now, I will warn you, sometimes smart dimensions are not that smart. So I'll go from here to here, and you can see that it's giving me some weird number, right? That 56.57. But if I actually come up here and I do that same dimension, so from here to here, looks like I escaped out of the smart dimension command. But from here to here, you see that that true distance is sitting at 40. So in order to combat that, sometimes in these detail views, it's a lot easier to come down to the drop down and then say, I want to create a horizontal dimension from this line to here. And now it'll read correctly. Okay. I'll go ahead and put a couple of more on here. Like I said, it's just more or less about creating a drawing here. The drafting part of it is super easy. Let's go ahead and place a diameter dimension here. Oh, I got to go back to a smart dimension. Or I can select the diameter dimension on the inside of that. But right now, these smart dimensions should be fine. All right, come on. There we go. And I'll place one more dimension here. Okay. All right, so just more or less whatever you want to do on here, and the dimensions are pretty much straightforward, nice and simple. You can see the center marks came on automatically for us. If you don't want those on there, I can delete these center marks. And then I can place my own. So for example, I like mine to kind of extend to the outside of my larger circle here. So I'll select that one and this one. And those, in my opinion, look like better center marks. Okay. We can also change a view here. So if I want that to be basically shaded, I do have that option that I can use here. And then the last thing that I'm going to talk about here is just doing a parts list. Let's go ahead and move this up a little bit more. Okay, so the parts list are bill of material, just depending on which are your language or whatever drafting it is, but they're pretty much the same thing. So I'll go with a parts list. Then I have to select the view. Right, and it's going to calculate and say, okay, I can do a parts list on that. Let's go ahead and hit the check mark. And then it should be following me around. I'll go ahead and place it here at the bottom. All right, now we can customize this depending on what else you want to do here. So for example, I'll go ahead and select this. I'm hoping that I got the parts list here. And inside of this list, I can control it. So if I want this to go from the top going up, I can go ahead and switch it with that button there. And you can see now that the parts number is listed at the bottom. I can also display the name of BOM table at the bottom. And then with these columns here, I can actually change them. So remember that I had one of them named as parts number, right? So I'll go ahead and select this column here. And I'm waiting on my little kind of bar here to go up here at the top. I'll select the column chooser. And inside of here, I can go ahead and say, hey, give me the one that I named as part number. And let's see, let's make sure I did do that one. Okay. That's not the right part number one there. Oh, custom properties, that's where I need to go. I forgot that I did make it a custom property. And then if I go to part number, you're going to see the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 come up. And then underneath the description is here. So if I wanted to add like a unit of measurement here as well, I do have that option. So if I select this column here, I'll just do a right click. I want to go ahead and insert in a column to the left. I will choose a custom property. And then I'm going to set this up to unit. So you're going to see that unit each shows up. Let's go ahead and kind of shrink these down a little bit. And then I'll go ahead and select the whole entire column here. And just tell it that, hey, keep all of those in the center. So everything should be all centered. I think that's kind of pretty much everything I need for this one. Oh, I could have also move or choose where the control point is on here. Let's go ahead and open this back up. And once the dialog box over here appears, I can also tell it that I want to control this from the bottom right corner. All right, and I do apologize. It seems like my machine is slowing down a little bit here. Okay. That's what I wanted to do. Okay. All right, so that's going to kind of basically complete this drawing here for me. I'm just going to move this up. And now you can see it will kind of snap to that endpoint that I need. Okay. That's going to be everything that I need to kind of show you for a simple drawing. We will get into doing a few more complex drawings, and you know, we can add like verbiage to here. So if this is something that you want to do, and all I did is select this dimension here. Once this comes up at the bottom, you can see that this is in 4 different places. So I can add to the bottom of this 4 places. And let's go ahead and turn my cap lock on. Once I hit the check mark, you're going to see that I do get the word 4 places that is listed underneath the bottom of here. Right? So it's just kind of customizing this however you want to customize it. But, you know, we can get into a whole lot more drafting stuff, but all I need to do is basically kind of, or my goal here in this drawing was just to show you the basic example of creating some kind of simple drawing. All right? So hopefully you enjoyed this video. It's just kind of a quick tutorial on how to create a model and also create a drawing using Solidworks of a singular part. Now, we will get into some where we will have an assembly, but that's for a later date. This one here is just going to be simply one part, one dimension. I mean, not one dimension, I should say. A few different details or whatever you need to do this part. Now, keep in mind, this is not a complete drawing here. You know, there are some other dimensions that I would need to put on here, but, you know, I can save that for you to do. This is just kind of a good instructional start off video. All right, so hopefully you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching this. Till the next video, keep drafting.